It is both an honor and a privilege to address you today as we turn the sod, indicating the beginning of an exciting new chapter in St. Lucia's maritime story. This sod turning ceremony is far more than a groundbreaking. It is a bold declaration of intent. It signals movement, forward movement, toward a vision of inclusive growth, meaningful partnerships, and transformation that touches every corner of our cruise tourism sector. As General Manager of St. Lucia Cruise Port, I am often asked, what exactly is SLCP, which is our acronym, building for itself? Every project we undertake, every plan we draft, and every dollar we invest is in service to the people of St. Lucia. We do not own these facilities. We are not the landlords of the port. We are its stewards, or simply put, as our chairman would always say, tenants of the people and government of St. Lucia. Our role is to manage with integrity, to facilitate with purpose, and to support the realization of a stronger, more dynamic cruise industry that uplifts everyone, from the vendors at the arcade, to the fisherman at Banans Bay, to the tour operator guiding guests through Soufrière's wonders. On August 2nd, 2023, the government of St. Lucia, the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority, GPH St. Lucia Limited, signed a 30-year concession agreement. This agreement entrusts us with a clear mandate to finance, develop, manage, and maintain cruise-related infrastructure at the ports of Castries and Soufrière, and in doing that, to elevate the visitor experience at every point along the journey. But more than that, it marked the start of a long-term partnership with the people of St. Lucia, one built on mutual respect, shared ambition, and a commitment to national development. So what does this partnership look like in action? I'm not a painter, but I will try my best to paint a picture. At Point Seraphine, berth 1, which is the cruise dedicated berths, berth 1 will be upgraded. This is about future-proofing our port and meeting the evolving demands of the cruise industry. Just beside the vendors' arcade, we will construct a brand new tender jetty designed to offer a safer, smoother disembarkation process for guests arriving by tender. Here, right here, today, where we gather, the old customs building has been cleared in December of last year, making way for a modern, open, and welcoming space that connects La Place Carénage, the arcade, and the vibrant streets of Castries. The goal is seamless flow for guests and locals alike. And as you can see from our hoarding, we wanted to make sure we did not have, not on the inside, but on the outside, that we did not have another plywood city. My brother teased me about that when he sat in his office and looked down. So I promised him that something spectacular was coming. Down at Banans Bay, the vision is bold and community-driven. A reimagined fisherman's village, complete with restaurant space, kiosks, restrooms, a picnic area, and a proper slipway. It will be a living, working waterfront, functional, beautiful, and proudly St. Lucian. The scenic boardwalk between Point Seraphine and the arcade will receive upgrades, shelter, lighting, and other enhancements to improve safety and enjoyment, making it a more vibrant thoroughfare for all. The vendors' arcade, and at this point I'd like to put a plug, I know the parliamentary rep is here, I would like to put a plug for the possibility of renaming it. I think the vendors' arcade just says vendors' arcade. It does not sell what the vendors are actually doing in that. And maybe once we've transformed it, there may be an opportunity for us to rebrand it. But that in itself will be fully transformed, not merely refurbished. We are designing a space that elevates the vendor experience and celebrates St. Lucian creativity. It will become a true cultural gateway, offering guests a rich, authentic introduction to who we are. St. Lucians, that is, not GPH. And in the south, in Soufrière, the waterfront will be reactivated with a new amphitheater, retail kiosks, pedestrian greenways, and improved berthing. But this is not only for cruise days. This is for the evenings, for weekends, for locals, and for tourists alike. It is for a Soufrière that lives and breathes long after the last ship sails. Importantly, our approach is one of shared stewardship. The management of the Vendors Arcade, for example, will remain with the Castries Constituency Council. SLCP's responsibility lies in building and assisting with maintaining the infrastructure, but the space and its heartbeat, its vendors, remain under the purview of the council. At Bannans Bay, and I see the parliamentary rep in our presence, we will work in partnership with the local fishers and other stakeholders to ensure the fisherman's village is both sustainable and community-owned. And I assure all St. Lucians, those who currently purchase fish in that location, that you will still be enabled to purchase fish in that location, albeit in a more hygienic condition. Throughout these developments, our commitment extends beyond the visiting cruise guests. These improvements will serve St. Lucians first, including our licensed taxi operators, our tour guides, our boat operators, and our vendors. Every element is designed with them in mind. They are not an afterthought. They are the foundation. To our partners in government, in the private sector, and within our communities, thank you for walking this path with us. Your vision, your trust, and your collaboration are the cornerstones of our work. To the people of St. Lucia, thank you for your trust, your pride, and your unwavering spirit. These are your developments. They belong to you. We are simply honored to play a role in bringing them to life. Together, let us build a St. Lucia that not only welcomes the world, but does so on our terms, in our voice, and in keeping with our passion. Thank you.
On that note, I would like to invite our Chairman and CEO of Global Ports Holdings, Mr. Mehmet Kutman, for a few brief remarks.
St. Lucia is really a beautiful place. Very, very beautiful. And I've been to practically every single island. But what makes it beautiful are the people of St. Lucia. This is very, very critical. I felt home here. Very important. Although still I don't have a pin which says St. Lucia, and I was promised that sea trade. I'm still waiting for it. So our commitment to St. Lucia is probably greater than most places. If Gaston Brown had heard this, he'll get upset, but that's the reality. And I'll be seeing him tomorrow, and I'll tell him. Whatever the defining forces are for us to stop, to delay the process, rest assured, we will overcome all those things. I've spoken to my sister, head of construction, to David, our construction company, just a few minutes ago. We'll basically start Soufrière in probably a week or so with the Barons Drive, waiting for approval, DCA approval for the rest. So Soufrière hopefully will be finished by the end of this year at the latest. And we hope to accomplish all construction as planned time being, because there are some other surprise, Prime Minister. I don't want to disclose them now. We want to invest more than what we agreed. By next July, we hope to finish everything, basically, assuming all permits are in order and timely. We want to put more money, for sure. to not only beautify the whole Castries or Point Seraphin, but to really improve the relations, the number of guests coming to St. Lucia is very crucial. And I'll give you an example for that. Nassau is a very good example. We invested substantially in Nassau. Yes, they have a God-given proximity to US. That's a big factor, no doubt about it. But at the same time, we saw in one day passenger movement of 30,738, one single day. We're hoping to get 6.5 million people this year, next year 7.4, the following year 9 million people. So the PM Davis, which is a very nice guy as well, came to us and said, why don't you build another pier? So we were talking with the construction team, Ms. Bansell and David, to build another pier. I do believe your capacity here eventually will not be enough. And I think Lance spoke about tender. I was on Norwegian Aqua sailing. I'm shutting this down, I don't need this. Norwegian Aqua sailing going to Great Stirrup Cay. A tender operation is hell. We absolutely don't want that. It's misery for the cruise line, it's misery for the captain, it's misery for everybody. So eventually you'll be full capacity on certain days, not every single day. So my duty as chairman or whatever you call me is to ensure that the traffic is spread all around the year, first, and second, not on every specific day. For that, Puerto Rico needs to be finished because we invest in quite a lot in Puerto Rico. So I'm talking to Royal, for example, Minister Hilaire knows, to try to amend their schedule so that other cruise destinations as well as the traffic on certain days can be amended also. This year, I think we're going to have 870,000+ people. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lance. And next year, I hope to go over the million mark. We hope to go over the million mark. And the existing capacity is probably about 1.5-ish, if I'm not wrong. And that 1.5 should be accomplished within the next 3 years, 3 to 4 years maximum. Then we need to go back to the drawing board and see what else can we do to move 2 million people. And that's going to happen. Rest assured that's going to happen. The way these cruise lines are building ships, the slowest growth is European brand with 3%. The American brands, Norwegian is at 11%, Royal is at 9%, Carnival is at 8% yearly growth for the next 5 years on their berth capacity. So it's very, very crucial. That's number two. Although there are a lot of words about everything, what we create in Nassau, what we create in Antigua, what we're creating in other destinations is basically integrating the community. And I fully agree, Lance, we need to amend the name of Vendors Arcade. It's a nice name, but it could be, quote unquote, sexier. And I do apologize for that word. We need to amend that name as well. But by the time we get through, PM, you have my personal promise. You offered me a shirt, which I like. You have my personal, these things are very important for me. You have my personal promise that it will be an amazing place from A to Z, not phase one. And I call this whole thing we're doing phase one. The next phase, which I hope to start assuming permits in order by the end of next year when the season is over, i.e. probably April 27-ish. I hope to start that next phase. And the next phase, once done, the whole thing, it'll be one of the best destinations in the Caribbean. There's no doubt about it. Having said that, I'd like to extend my thank to Honorable Prime Minister Pierre, Honorable Minister of Tourism, who still owes me a pin, St. Lucia pin, Minister Hilaire, and all the government officials. I think it's been a smooth road. It hasn't been that difficult for us at least. PM, maybe it's been a little bit bumpy for you, for one reason or the other. But those things happen. I've seen it with Gaston. I've seen it with other destinations. But we will overcome all difficulties. We will overcome all defying forces. And once we're done, people are gonna, it's like in Nassau. There were so many reactions, local, individuals, government, but when it's done, and I'm kind of like, I would define myself as a humble guy. I talk to the hairdresser, I talk to the taxi guy. They are so happy from their revenue, how clean the places are, everything. They are very, very happy. And we're instigating our taxi program starting probably in Antigua. We're trying to electrify all the taxis as much as we can. So those are added values which will come through the years. Having said all those things, once again, thank you. You've been a big support. St. Lucia is at my heart, provided Minister Hill here delivers on his pin. Thank you again.
It is a distinct honor to join you this afternoon at the invitation of our partners, GPH, for the official Sod Turning Ceremony of the Port Castries Redevelopment Project. Today's event is a testament to a shared vision and a celebration of strategic collaboration and a renewed promise to elevate St. Lucia's cruise tourism sector to world-class standards. On August 2nd, 2023, SLASPA, the government of St. Lucia, and GPH did formalize a 30-year concession agreement. This forward-thinking partnership paves the way for transformative investments in cruise infrastructure across Castries and Soufrière. As indicated by my colleague, the scope of development includes upgrading of Berth 1 to accommodate Oasis-class vessels, the construction of a new tender jetty near the Vendors Arcade, repurposing of where we are today, the Customs Building, to enhance the cruise arrival experience, comprehensive beautification of the Vendors Arcade and Boardwalk, significant uplifts to the Soufrière waterfront, including an amphitheater and pedestrian zones. Crucially, this project is rooted in inclusive development. SLASPA, in keeping with its commitment under the concession agreement, will be supporting GPH during a coming redevelopment of the Fisherman's Village at Banans Bay, an area long defined by a special community heritage. This redevelopment features a restaurant, fish selling kiosks, a wooden tender jetty, public restrooms and picnic areas, dedicated storage and access for fishermen, green open spaces, and transport access for buses and taxis. We approach this transformation with great care and accountability, as this project respects the heritage of the Banans Bay community while creating new avenues for livelihood, enterprise, and dignity. It reflects our belief that progress must be equitable and that development must serve economic advancement and social inclusion. The benefits of this public-private partnership extend beyond the visible. SLASPA has reduced its debt exposure, creating the fiscal space to address additional national infrastructure needs, most notably our forthcoming berth rehabilitation project for improved cargo operations. We, SLASPA, remains unwavering in our commitment to excellence, integrity, and collaborative development. We recognize the importance of strategic partnerships in achieving national outcomes, and we are proud to walk this path with GPH, our governmental colleagues, and the people of St. Lucia. As we break ground today, we are not merely turning soil. We are turning a new page in the evolution of our cruise industry and indeed in the broader story of our nation's growth. As we turn this symbolic sod, we reaffirm SLASPA's enduring vision to be that modern gateway connecting people, partners, and the world, and facilitating trade and travel through value creation in a safe, secure, and customer-centric environment for sustained social and economic development, which are the words of our mission. Let us not just build ports, but platforms for prosperity, community, and for future generations. I thank you very much.
I would now like to bring on the parliamentary representative and minister with responsibility for housing and local government, Honorable Richard Frederick.
I'm standing here with a bit of skepticism. I say skepticism because only yesterday I heard a caller on a talk show called and say they sold the pots. And I was wondering which pots were sold, and went on to add to it, out of total ignorance, I must say, they sold the pots for 40 years. I don't know how you could sell something temporarily. And I'm quite happy that the speakers before have indicated that this was an agreement, a PPP, between the government and GPH for a 30-year period. But you see, what is happening is people are resistant to change. They are resistant to change because of the nonsense that is spewed out there. Sometimes I wish we were in places like Singapore, where some of the utterances are controlled. Sadly, we are not. We live in a democratic country. But even with the use of our democratic rights, we cannot take people and their beliefs and just make a mockery of what is reality. I want to say the pots are not sold. And they are not sold for 40 years. They are listed. It's a PPP for 30 years. Talking about resistance to change, you know, a lot of people, they don't understand. Most of them want to see tangible results before they want to feel a certain level of discomfort. And this project came with much difficulty, a lot of difficulty, removing the vendors up to yesterday. And I want you to give the mayor a round of applause to me, please. Give the mayor of Castries a round of applause. She called me last night rather, about 9 o'clock. She said, Mr. Minister, the final person is being moved from the old car park. And that is the difficulty we faced. We had to remove them from one place, bring them here, take them out and find places for them as we sought to develop this country of ours. The sad thing is persons find comfort in their little zone. They look at their own environmental space and believe it is me and me alone, and it should not be disturbed, not even in the national interest or for the national good. Not too long ago, we had the grand opening of the anchorage, and that too came with intense or immense difficulty because the fishermen believed that they had a right to sell fish right there, irrespective of not having the two quintessential features of running water and ice. $300,000 later, today they are housed in a brand new facility we had to build for them to ensure that the fish is sold in a healthy environment and that persons can eat the fish without having any kind of dint of conservatism insofar as the health concerns are taken cognizance of. So those are the difficulties that you face. Those are the underpinning difficulties. But at the end of the day, when things come to reality, all of us applaud the efforts. I am a bit saddened because on that fateful day in August, when we met Mr. Kutman and others, all the relevant heads, of course, I am like my sister Emma Hippolyte, who's not here today, she's in Japan. And she's one person whom I admire. Whatever is happening in Castries or Vieux-Fort, it must happen in Soufrière too. And so I felt the compunction to have made a request for the people who traverse the streets of Castries, and of course the tourists, to ask that GPH consider the construction of an overpass from the port right onto the market. And trust me, at the time, it was treated with much enthusiasm and given a warm embrace, especially by Mr. Kootman. However, like I told them, after they did the deliberations, the architectural designs and the engineering integrities and whatever else they had to do, they realized that my desire was flying in the face of what the engineers considered a good point. And so I was informed, but I did not leave it like that. I indicated to them that, look, I built, or I spearheaded rather, the building of the Jeremy Street Plaza some 16 years ago, and from then it had never been touched. It is ripe for refurbishment. And so far, it appears there is a good trade-off. The Jeremy Street Plaza will be refurbished, complements GPH. I don't want a high fall on that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe that the project here is a good one. I see vendors here. I see all stakeholders here, most stakeholders here. We have to proceed. We have to do what we have to do. I've always said there is one philosophy that's so true, that you cannot make omelette without breaking eggs. You need to break omelette. You need to break the eggs to make omelette. And so even in development of any society, any country, there will be temporary discomfort to some people. And they must understand that in the interest of national development, those things will happen. Insofar as the renaming of the arcade is concerned, I quite agree, Mr. Kootman, that this name is not sexy enough. If you look at the men around you, they look like sexy men. If you look to your right and you see my prime minister and his deputy, they too are sexy men. So we need a sexy name. But I'll tell you what, I just wish, and I say this so persons could think out loud, I just wish when an institution or an establishment is named, there would have been legislation to curtail the ability of other persons that occupy political office to change those names at ease or with ease. And it brings to focus Serenity Park. Serenity Park was named with the involvement of almost every school child in the Castries Basin. There was actually a competition, and the winner of the competition spoke at the opening of that ceremony. Lo and behold, in the twinkle of an eye, the political directory decided, let us wipe it off and include some politician's name who never represented that area in his lifetime. It hurts because it undermines the involvement of those persons who were so anxious to participate, and obviously the winner of that competition. As far as Castries Central is concerned, we are delighted to have you in the best constituency in this country. Even the Prime Minister's office is in Castries Central. Even the Cabinet of Ministers is in Castries Central. Oh, what a day it is for this now to be happening no other place but Castries Central. So, Mr. Alexander, Mr. Kootman, Mr. Arnold, rest assured, what they call it, like a tick on your back? The plans are ready. We just await the funding, and we shall proceed with due dispatch to ensure that Jeremy Street Plaza is redone and done in the name of Global Port Holdings. I thank you for partnering with St. Lucia, partnering with the government of St. Lucia, and at the end of the day, all of it will redound to the people of this country, not to any politician. I thank you.
I really did not intend to speak this afternoon. I was anxiously waiting for the Prime Minister to come and, give his final blessings. But I will take the opportunity, though, to say a very special thank you to Mr. Kootman and the GPH team. Only 2 weeks ago, or was it last week, we were at Sea Trade, and the main sponsor of Sea Trade was GPH. And it was really heartening to see the presence of GPH within the cruise industry. And when we we engage in discussions on this partnership, there were many that questioned who's GPH, where they came from. And sometimes they tell you how limiting it is that persons do not even do their research. But a simple research would have told you how global GPH is. The G and the global in GPH is real. It is a major player, a major actor in that space within the tourism industry. And, sorry? The only major one. And for us who are sea trade, we would have witnessed firsthand the presence and power of GPH within the cruise industry. So when Mr. Cutman stands there and says, by next year after we'll have 1 million, and he gave his projections of the increase in cruise arrivals, I take it seriously because he knows what he's talking about. And more so, he has a team that is working with him that I have confidence in that they can deliver. I think it's also important for us to recognize, and why these projects that are starting today are important, is because of the philosophy of this government, that we must make sure that more St. Lucians participate and benefit from the tourism industry. And from day one, we said the numbers are not what that really matter to us. They are important, they are necessary, but they're not sufficient. What will make it sufficient is our people getting the opportunities for them to benefit from the tourism industry. And we are going to be very deliberate in our approach to the tourism industry to create more opportunities for our people to benefit from it. And every single project, whether it is the redevelopment of the Vendors Arcade, albeit it will get a more sexy name, the Fishermen's Village in Banan, the boardwalk, what's going to happen in Soufrière, I'm hearing now about the Jeremy Street Plaza, and many others that will happen. It's all about creating opportunities for our people to benefit more from the tourism industry. And I'm glad that GPH itself is a very powerful proponent of that philosophy, that it must be about the people and investment in the people. I'm very anxiously awaiting the budget statement next week to hear more about how the people will benefit from all the economic growth and all the development that's taking place in this country, because this means a lot to us and it matters to us. So let me just say thank you to the GPH group, and thank you to all members of the team who are working so hard to make sure we can deliver, not just for the cruise passengers that will come in, but for the people of St. Lucia. So thank you so very much.
Let me recognize my cabinet colleagues, the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House, the gentleman who said a few things a while ago. He spoke about dates, and you spoke about September and December. You didn't say July. But I want to tell you, in the season that we are now, dates are very important to me. Extremely important, because there was a date in 2021, 21st of July. And if you check 5 years from now, you'll see where we are. So dates, you checking? Dates are extremely important to me. First of all, I really want to thank GPH for having confidence in St. Lucia and having confidence to forget the noise. There was a lot of noise. There still is a lot of noise. And some of the noise was actually very dangerous. Some of the noise was dangerous, but I'm happy that you had the confidence and the understanding that this government will stand by its word and we will do what we promised to do. So, with all the noise, tomorrow I expect that the groundbreaking turns into construction. Because it's very important for me, because on Tuesday, when I give my budget statement, I want to say that work on the GPH holding has started as we speak. So if there's anything you need me to do to say that, call on me. Because it's very important that we keep our word. Because we've been really, really battered about this project. We've been battered, we've been accused, all sorts of things have been said to us, about us. All the time, all what we were doing was to cause the ports to develop without additional debt to the people of St. Lucia. Very simple. Cause the ports to develop without additional debt to the people of St. Lucia. And so many things were said. And I see IPA here with me. When I was a long time ago, I was the Minister of Tourism. And IPA and I went to Jamaica to look at that same kind of project in Ocho Rios, to see how we could improve the quality of product that was given to cruise passengers. That was then. Since then, we saw champagne popping and promises of a new port in Vieux-Fort. We saw big ceremonies, all kind of pictures, all kind of renderings. That never happened. We also heard talk of Royal Caribbean doing something again. Big announcements. Nothing happened. When finally we get an announcement that is tangible, we get an announcement from a company that is ready to put their money where their mouth is. They did not walk in and say, give them leases for 99 years for $1. What they did was they said that we will pay your debt. Let us exchange. We'll pay your debt. That will give you fiscal space to do the work that you have to do on the ports. And I want to say to SLASPA, there's a lot of work we have to do for in the cargo parts of the ports. We need to improve that. So we will take that money so you can invest, and we'll take over a small percentage of your business, which is the cruise business that SLASPA handles. And in return for that, we'll give you global marketing exposure through the exposure that you get from GPH. And you also will have a modern complex, modern facilities. And remember when I met you, Mr. Kutman, I said to you, what are you doing with the vendors? These were my first utterances. What are you doing with the vendors? And I'm happy that you've put the vendors in the scheme of things. We did not push them away. We didn't tell them that sometime in one of the pools you'll get somewhere. We said to them that we are going to build proper facilities for you so you can vend and continue. And that's what we are all about, putting the people of St. Lucia first, not putting them somewhere where you believe you can fool them, putting them first. And I'm looking forward to the Vendors Arcade being completed together with everything else, because the people must benefit from the tourism industry. The people must benefit. So it's kind of bittersweet for me, because in my business, you hear so many things. Half of it is not true. The other half is half true. But the venom and the venom and the way in which these things are said to deliberately mislead. Because after you said for so many times, the pot was not sold. The pot is not sold. You will hear or you will read tomorrow on somewhere that we sold the cashew pot. So I'm happy that you have reiterated that the pot was not sold. So I'm looking forward to what is going to happen here, what's going to happen in Soufrière. You said Soufrière will start tomorrow, you said? Because I told you so respectfully that dates are very important to me. Very important to me. Dates are very important. So you said tomorrow or day after. I'll give you day after. So we will start to work in Soufrière shortly, and then we come to Castries. And by the way, speaking about the responsibility of GPH, I notice all things have been said about all kinds of constituencies. All constituencies. You know, this guy was born in my constituency. Arnold Lance. He was actually born there. And he hasn't said anything about his constituency. But we will discuss my constituency. But in the meantime, I was not present when you gave the scholarships. So I want to ask you, as a token, could you give another scholarship? So if you're giving 2, could you give 4? But I hope one of the students come from my constituency. And since you did that, you get nothing for nothing, so I will give you the badge. So here's this token seals the relationship between GPH and St. Lucia and 5 scholarships. I wish GPH well, and I look forward to the commencement of this project. Thank you very much.
Oh God and our Father, we bring this soil that you have given to us before you. We know, God, that they're going to build a new facility on this place. We ask for your protection on every worker and those that they will serve coming from the globe. So God bless everything. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen. Yes, brother.